Clyde Drexler recently voiced an opinion that very few people in the basketball world are willing to say publicly. In his view, LeBron James has not earned respect in the same way Michael Jordan once did. This wasn't a slip of the tongue or a quote taken out of context. It was a deliberate, confident statement made directly into the camera in early 2025. The internet reacted instantly, almost like a thunderclap. Fans quickly divided into two opposing camps. Former players quietly began choosing sides, and LeBron himself responded with complete silence. However, what many people didn't hear was what Drexler said before that viral quote, arguably even more explosive remarks that somehow never made it into mainstream coverage. So even if you think you know this story, there's more beneath the surface. This situation runs deeper than social media debates and highlight clips. The discussion also ties into long-standing frustrations among former players. Some expressed sentiments like being a 12-time All-Star, an All-NBA player, even reaching the finals, yet still feeling dismissed as insignificant, like the 13th guy on the bench. There was also appreciation for Drexler standing up for himself, along with claims that others had done the same in interviews that were ultimately edited out. Criticism extended to The Last Dance, which many believed was supposed to focus on the Chicago Bulls, but instead became a personal farewell story centered on Michael Jordan. What makes this moment even more compelling is how it began. The interview itself started off calmly in early 2025, appearing to be a routine legacy conversation. It followed the usual pattern, an old-school legend reflecting on past glory, acknowledging today's generation, and sharing nostalgic stories from the 1990s. But within minutes, the tone shifted. Drexler leaned forward, locked in, and it became clear this wasn't casual reminiscing. It felt like he had been holding on to something for years and had finally decided to say it out loud. Notably, no one forced the topic. Drexler himself steered the conversation directly toward LeBron James. What followed was unfiltered and direct, far from media-trained commentary. Drexler suggested that LeBron has built part of his career around controlling his narrative. He then made a comparison that immediately ignited debate. The difference between LeBron and Michael Jordan isn't just about championships, awards, or scoring. It's about mentality and how a player carries themselves. According to Drexler, it's about whether your legacy is shaped by the game itself or whether you attempt to shape the game around your personal story. Then came the statement that shook social media: you cannot earn respect the same way Michael Jordan did. Not the way LeBron has approached it. There was no hesitation, no nervous laughter, just calm certainty. Within hours, the clip spread everywhere. Sports platforms, podcasts, debates, and discussions among fans and former players. The GOAT conversation suddenly became more personal, shifting from statistics to something deeper. What does it really mean to earn respect in the NBA? To understand why Drexler's words matter, you have to understand his background. He wasn't just a spectator of Jordan's greatness. He experienced it firsthand. Drexler competed directly against Jordan, looking him in the eye on the court. And he wasn't just any player. He was a superstar in his own right, known for his smooth, explosive, and instinctive style of play. In another era, Drexler might have won multiple championships, but he faced one major obstacle: Michael Jordan. Competing against that level of greatness creates a unique understanding, one rooted in experience rather than observation. Drexler lived through the pressure, intensity, and cost of competing at the highest level. So when he speaks about Jordan, he isn't speculating. He's speaking from personal battles. That's why people listened. This wasn't a hot take from a TV personality. It came from a Hall of Famer who endured one of the toughest eras in basketball. Drexler's core argument centers on how respect is earned. In his view, Michael Jordan never tried to manage his image or control public perception during his career. There were no mid-career documentaries or carefully crafted legacy campaigns. Jordan simply played and dominated. The respect he earned felt inevitable. Watching him left no room for debate. Admiration came naturally. He didn't build an image. He took respect directly from the game, possession by possession. LeBron's path, however, reflects a different approach. Drexler made it clear that he wasn't questioning LeBron's talent. Few would. His physical ability, basketball IQ, and longevity are undeniable. Instead, the critique focuses on everything surrounding that talent. According to Drexler, LeBron has been deeply involved in shaping his narrative, from launching media ventures to orchestrating major career decisions as public spectacles. Team changes became headline events, each accompanied by a carefully framed story. Drexler believes this modern approach has altered how respect is perceived. The era of super teams, televised announcements, and constant media coverage has transformed the NBA landscape. In contrast, Jordan operated without such buildup. He simply showed up and the world already understood his presence. To Drexler, when a player actively shapes their legacy, it can raise questions about whether the game alone is enough to define it. In his eyes, Jordan never needed that extra layer. The interview took an even sharper turn when Drexler reflected on players from his era, those who directly competed against Jordan. According to him, they all walked away with the same realization. They had witnessed undeniable greatness. There was no need for documentaries or analysis. When you played against Jordan, you felt it immediately. That feeling, Drexler argued, cannot be manufactured through branding or storytelling. As the clip spread, reactions flooded in. Within hours, it gained millions of views and dominated sports discussions. The response was deeply divided. Older generations, former players, coaches, and longtime fans, largely agreed with Drexler. Many felt relieved, as though someone had finally voiced what had been quietly discussed for years. On the other side, LeBron's supporters strongly defended him, emphasizing that he plays in a completely different era shaped by social media, global branding, and an expanded business side of sports. They argued that comparing LeBron to Jordan using the same standards isn't fair, just as you wouldn't evaluate a modern athlete using outdated rules. The game evolves and players adapt. That perspective is valid, but Drexler's point went beyond era comparisons. He suggested that the relationship between greatness and respect has fundamentally changed, and that this shift introduces an element rarely discussed: doubt. When a legacy is actively shaped in real time, people begin to question what is natural versus what is constructed. Interestingly, during all this, LeBron James said nothing. His silence stood out. Throughout his career, he has often addressed criticism and shared his thoughts publicly. Yet here, there was no response, no statement, no post, nothing. Some interpret this as a strategic decision, avoiding further escalation. Others believe the silence reflects the difficulty of responding to an argument rooted in perception rather than statistics. This situation ultimately raises larger questions about modern sports. Can greatness be constructed, or must it naturally demand recognition? Does each generation redefine respect, or do past legends still set the standard? And perhaps most tellingly, how would Michael Jordan have responded in a similar situation? In early 2025, Clyde Drexler ignited a powerful debate by expressing something many had only discussed privately. His words struck a nerve because they touched on authenticity. Michael Jordan represented a form of greatness built purely on performance. No narratives, no campaigns, just dominance. LeBron James represents a modern version, where storytelling, media, and personal branding are integral to legacy. Both approaches have merit, and both come with trade-offs. However, Drexler highlighted a subtle but important distinction. Among players themselves, the ones who compete at the highest level, respect for Jordan felt unanimous, while opinions on LeBron have been more divided. That difference, though small, continues to fuel debate. In the end, this isn't just about comparing two legends. It's about defining greatness itself. Drexler never denied LeBron's talent. He questioned the path taken to earn respect. And perhaps the biggest takeaway is this: the standards of the past may no longer fully apply in today's world, or they might still be the only ones that truly matter. One thing is certain: this debate is far from over. Years from now, people will still revisit this moment, what Drexler said, the silence that followed, and what it all means for basketball history. At its core, this is a clash between two visions of greatness, one rooted purely in performance, the other shaped alongside media and narrative. And depending on who you ask, both sides remain convinced they're right.